You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
On that note of winners, Harry Kane.
Or lack of them.
Harry Kane, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Harry Kane's leaving Tottenham. It's virtually assured.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, isn't it?
This season.
Yeah, I think he has to leave. I think he deserves to leave. I think he needs to take some responsibility as to why Tottenham are where they are and why Tottenham are in such a... It's weird, actually, the narrative around Tottenham, because as much as it's seen as being a mess, as much as it's seen as being a disaster for Antonio Conte, as much as there seems to be some genuine belief from their fans that they want him out, they're still in with a really good shout, if not favourites, of making it into the top 4, which would be a good season, wouldn't it?
Definitely. I think Thierry Henry described it really well midweek when they crashed out of Europe. When you're sat there with your grandkids, you're 70 years old, and you lay out, I scored a great goal against Fulham from 30 yards out. Do you know what I mean? And that is a very good achievement, and he's achieved unbelievable things. Or you say, I was the best player in the competition of all the FA teams in this country, and I won the FA Cup. Or I won even the League Cup. We were the best side of all the league teams in a cup competition. It's a sporting achievement.
Yeah, it's legacy.
Football's sport. And we get into the cultural side of football and the social media aspects of it. Football's about achieving the highest things in the sport. And Harry Kane, at the level he's at, should be having medals, trophies and accolades. It's not about scoring 261 goals and some of them against Norwich. Do you know what I mean? Some of them against Burnley.
Do you think?
Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that he now, like, he's basically told us that he's going to leave, hasn't he? And I think he now has to. I feel like Daniel Levy will now have to at least begrudgingly accept that he deserves to go, and therefore Manchester United kind of feels on the horizon. But is Harry Kane capable of being a winner? I suppose is the question here.
I think yes. He's not the guy, I don't think, to be the one, like, he can be the difference between Manchester United winning the big ones and not winning them, for example. And he can be the difference between some of the, maybe Chelsea or whatever. I don't think he's going to be like, he's going to win them all on his own. I think you still need to have a functioning team around him, because football's changed now. It's not like back in the day where, you just bring in one player, they win every game for you, it's all right. It's all about the team, it's all about the system and that. So I think Harry Kane would be a huge signing for United. And I think we could make him a winner, because the expectations at a club change. It's like when Poch was at Spurs and he used to go, winning the League Cup and that, I need to focus on the Champions League, Premier League and being a Champions League team. The demands at Spurs, whilst they want to win trophies, it's not you must win trophies. At Manchester United, I know we've had our drought over the recent years, but you have to win trophies. Yeah. That has to be the demand ultimately for any manager, any player that comes in. And I think that demand, that pressure could possibly create and turn him into a winner. And I also think when you put him alongside someone like Ten Hag, who's a very good coach, when you put him along players as well, like, he must look at Rashford even. Rashford's played for a United team that have been very up and down, chopped and changed managers. He's got 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, a Europa League. He must be thinking...
And he's a better player than him, and he must know he's a better player. And this isn't any sort of snide to you or to... he's just a better player, yeah. How much of the lack of silverware at Tottenham, how much of the problems at Tottenham do you put down to him? Because I've always been very kind to Kane until the World Cup. But do you know what? I saw it again. Did you happen to watch their European game against Milan?
I watched bits.
The second, did you see any of the second leg at Tottenham?
I was flipping between the two games.
Bad, really bad. Like, there was no urgent. You know when you're playing in Europe at home, it's like, and this is why I'm always so proud of Chelsea. Like, we really do rise to the occasion as a club. Like, it matters. It's a European Cup, and you find a way. Tottenham seem to be like really lethargic.
Yeah,
like, you could only hear the Italian fans.
Yeah,
like, it really did just feel lethargic. And again, it's another example to go. Tottenham needed him the most that night. Their European journey was nearly over. They're playing against a team that are beatable. They're only 1-0 down and they're at home. AC Milan were rubbish, by the way. This isn't the AC Milan of Baresi and Van Basten. We beat them, yeah. So does he need to take some responsibility for that one as well?
Yes, well, partly, yeah. I mean, all the players have to take a responsibility, but I think,
but more him, because he's the public face, isn't he? He's Tottenham, yeah.
Yeah, but managers are important. Coaching is important. Tactics are important, especially at Champions League level, especially coming up against these teams. Fikayo Tomori is such a very good defender. Tactically reads the game well, knows what he's doing. that whole AC Milan backline, defensively, they'll know their stuff. Tactically, they'll know their stuff from set pieces. So you have to have something different at a European level. You have to have a team that's playing good football that can bring the best out of those players. You can't just rely on the player to just... Of course, sometimes it's going to happen. You have your Ronaldo moments, but ultimately, United got knocked out of the Champions League because you can't just rely on that one goal score. Oh, he's going to turn up. No, you need your whole team to turn up in these games because teams are coming to you with really well coached, really well organised, and even with someone like Giroud up front and that, they'll knock you out, bro.
I think you're right, 80% right. I think what your argument is the majority of the argument. I think that's where it is. I think there's that 20% that Rory's probably getting at, where if Spurs are having a bad day, I want to see Harry Kane get the ball. I think it's actually the opposite. I don't want to see him getting the ball. I want to see him up the pitch, stretching, haggling defenders, being aggressive. I don't want to see him dropping deep. I don't want to see him trying to run play. I know he's the best player at doing it at Spurs, and they got their system with him working. But for me, there's too many times. Again, for England's the big one. I'm an England fan.
That's where I accuse him a lot.
You let England down. When it goes bad for Kane, he never has a bad game. He's a passenger. He's a ghost. He goes missing. That's the biggest. I'd rather him have a terrible game.
Yeah.
He's tried a 30-yard
Yeah.
screamer. It's gone a bit wrong. He's learning.
Who would you rather have at City, Kane or Haaland? Like, if you don't factor in age or money or anything like that, just who would you rather have in the team?
I'd rather have... It's crazy because I love Haaland. I'd have Kane right now for this season. I still think he's a better striker than Haaland. I think he's got more an all-round better play. I would have loved him when we tried to sign him. Obviously, long-term, I love Erling Haaland, his connections to the club, of course. But Harry Kane, is there a world where his level is world-class? Is he being so subdued by the fact that he's playing for a winless, bottle job of a club?
But do we just look at them now? And I actually agree... the point you made, is it his fault as well? I think that has been sometimes in the past, the League Cup final, Champions League, whatever, World Cup final for England or whatever. I agree in Euros final, with England. I agree in that regard that maybe he could have done better at them times, but not consistently and not right now. And I think we're also we just expect him to score 20-odd goals a season, and he does.
And he does, though, yeah.
But it's almost
even when
become
it's going badly.
Oh, it's just right.
Mate,
and he scored again. It's like,
but can you give me a
quality,
goal?
bro?
Can you give me a goal in a big moment? And right, there's not been as many. Drogba probably had 10 opportunities in cup finals to score nine of the final goals he scored, or whatever it is. I know Harry Kane's not had the same luxury, but he's been in a League Cup final, he's been in a World Cup semi-final, he's been in a quarter-final for England in the winter, Qatar. He's been in a Champions League final. So we're saying 5, 6, 7 moments, the Leicester City title challenge. I can't think of a goal of magnitude that he's scored. Maybe I'm being short-sighted.
No, I think the biggest goals of his career, he scored a couple of screamers against Arsenal, hasn't he?
North London derby.
Like, do you remember when he was wearing a mask?
Yeah, but what did that contribute? Like, as a sporting moment, obviously the legacy.
They would have got in. They would have qualified for the European Cup that year.
Yeah.
So that
that kind of level.
It's not in the. You can't put it in the trophy cabinet, but it's significant.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think in terms of like significant goals, the Golden Boot at the World Cup in 2018, the goals against Arsenal. He scored against Chelsea. They scored 5 against us one New Year's Day, 2015, I think, and he had a very good game. But these are like, if I was talking about like Andy Cole at Manchester United did things like that against various teams, but you don't talk about it because he won a treble. He scored a great goal against Blackburn Rovers once, but it doesn't matter because he won a treble. You don't need to focus on it. Whereas with Kane, I'm talking about him wearing a mask 5 years ago and remembering the goal that he scored from the corner flag against Arsenal, because that's kind of it.
It's the old stadium. That's how long ago.
That's kind of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the point. So I suppose the question now becomes: he's going to leave. Does he? It doesn't really matter where he ends up, because I think the question is bigger than the destination.
Where do you go if you're Harry Kane?
Personally, if I were advising Harry Kane, I think Manchester United makes so much sense. I think it makes so much sense.
Rashford on the left, Kane down the middle.
Do you know what I'd also be interested in exploring if I were him? And I'm sure that it probably doesn't work out. I imagine that it just doesn't fit. But I would say to my agent, "You're sacked. I'm getting a new agent." And then I would say to that agent, that new agent, "Can you just find out something for me? Just go and have a quick word. Send a text message now. Pep Guardiola, just double check. Is there a world where
I think it is with Pep.
But what I'd say if I were Kane, I'd just find out, because if it can work, look, I think Manchester United would be the shout because it feels more ready. But equally, if you can go to City and you're Kane and you think about what Kane needs from his career, money and silverware, 2 and 2 makes a Christmas cake with Man City. What did Man City have in abundance? Silverware. What else did they have in abundance? Money.
It might not be the weirdest shout. I mean, there are rumours of Haaland going to Real Madrid this summer.
What about if he doesn't go? What about Haaland stays?
$1,000,000% it never ever happens.
Okay,
because of Alvarez as well.
Talk to me about that though, because I have no dog in this fight, right? But I just think Kane's a brilliant footballer who's older, so he can't play every week. Haaland, it hasn't really materialised at City, but we're led to believe has injury concerns, right? If you're Guardiola, do you not go? Yeah, there's a world where we can make the use of both.
I know
He's already made the point though with Alvarez.
Do you think?
Yeah, Alvarez has started a lot of games.
Alvarez is a big player.
He's one of the most featured players this season.
And that's one of the things I'm not sure about with United. Like, Kane's almost a no-brainer. But there's this part of me that goes, Victor Osimhen, young looks good.
A different caliber.
Maybe the same kind of price. Because you're not getting Kane for cheap.
Yeah, Kane for 3 years is better than 6 years of Osimhen.
No, but also, Kane's not old. And the way that he plays football means that he probably plays to the top tier till he's about 35 anyway.
He's had some big injuries, though.
Oh, yeah.
Ankle injuries.
Kane can do it. Osimhen could come here, and I think he's fantastic. But he could come here and score 6 goals next
No,
season.
he could, yeah.
He's signed for Chelsea.
Well,
Kane is almost a guarantee, isn't he?
Yeah.
But you're also probably going to need to replace him.
But also, if he was at a club like Man City, like Manchester United or Man City, but Manchester United in this example, if he were there, he wouldn't have the burden of carrying an entire club on his shoulders, and therefore he would probably be a bit more. Yeah, he'd be a bit more injury free. You'd probably be able to rotate him a bit because there'll be somewhat, there'll be other players that can help shoulder the goal burden.
Chelsea. What about Chelsea?
I don't think he can.
He doesn't leave the Premier League, does he?
No, he wants the goal record.
Yeah.
It matters more to him than
put that out there. You've obviously got Bayern Munich, Real Madrid,
Chelsea. It would totally tarnish his Tottenham legacy, which I think matters.
Yeah, but we've seen big names like Sol Campbell desperate to leave Arsenal. So.
Yeah, but it tarnished his legacy.
Yeah.
I think Harry Kane did damage to his legacy last year when he sort of flirted with Man City.
Neville.
Yeah, when he flirted with Man City and then he didn't turn up for training for a bit. And then first day of the season, Tottenham were beaten by... No, sorry, Man City were beaten by Tottenham. And all the Tottenham fans are singing, "Are you watching Harry Kane?"
Yeah.